There are so many evangelical Christians who have a biblical understanding of Israel and know God's plans and purposes for Israel and the Jewish people. They pray for the peace of Jerusalem. But is this enough to meet the threats and the challenges facing the Jewish people in Israel in the early part of the 21st century? As Christians, we are living through unprecedented times. We are seeing the fulfillment of biblical prophecy unfold before our very eyes. We are the generation that has either seen the re-establishment of the State of Israel on the 14th of May 1948, or like me, were born into an era when the Jewish state is a reality, despite the 5 major wars Israel has fought for her very own survival. The re-establishment of the State of Israel has been the dream and aspiration of millions of Jewish people for more than 2,000 years, to return to Zion and to be reunited with their spiritual city, Jerusalem. We're living in a time when this dream is now a reality. The church has not existed alongside the State of Israel before in history. Therefore, as Christians, what is our responsibility and commitment to Israel and the Jewish people? This is our responsibility, to speak up against the lies and counter the misinformation about Israel. When the BDS, known as the Boycott Divestments and Sanctions movement, want to erode Israel's moral standing in the world and pressure companies not to buy or stock Israeli products, what is our response as Christians? We will buy more Israeli goods, and we will visit Israel to show our love and solidarity.
Free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine! Free, free! Faced by the failure in the international community to help them achieve justice, Palestinian civil society has asked ordinary people like me and you to implement a campaign of boycott, divestment and sanctions.
Calling on everyone to exercise their consumer rights. Read the label. You can make a change by not purchasing Israeli goods. We're asking Tesco's to comply with the BDS call out for non-violent action and end the sale of Israeli produce.
When the Palestinian Solidarity Campaign organised rallies outside of Israeli events like the International Shalom Festival or the Israeli Embassy, were organised counter-rallies in love and support for Israel. When the Palestinian Solidarity Campaign and others chant Palestine will be free from the river to the sea, we will remind them that this is incitement to genocide. When the Palestinian Authority and their Islamic terrorist supporters claim that Israel is occupying Palestinian lands and it's time that Israel end the occupation, as Christians, we will remind them that it's only Israel that has offered the Palestinians their own state, and they rejected it. When Egypt controlled Gaza and Jordan controlled Judea and Samaria, did they offer the Palestinians their own state? No. We will remind the Palestinian Authority who built their schools, roads, hospitals, and state infrastructure, providing them with water and electricity, Israel. When the Palestinians remember Nakba Day, when they mourn the creation of Israel, and remember the plight of Palestinian refugees who were told to flee their homes by Arab leaders during Israel's War of Independence, we shall remind them that their leaders rejected the UN 1947 partition plan, and they attacked the new state of Israel with 5 Arab armies, Egypt, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, and Jordan, and lost. When the Palestinians talk about the right of return for Palestinian refugees, we shall remind them that the Arab states ethnically cleansed the Jewish people living for thousands of years in the Arab world, that they had to flee their homes and businesses, and all they could leave with was a suitcase, that over 700,000 had to find a new home in Israel, and we shall remind them that the Jews have now been ethnically cleansed from the Arab world. When the Palestinian leaders and their supporters claim that Israel stole their land, we shall remind them that there was no Palestinian Arab state in existence at the time, only the British Mandate of Palestine. The Jews of Palestine were called the Palestinians, and what is now the Jerusalem Post was called the Palestinian Post. When they claim there was an Arab-Palestinian state, we shall say, tell me, who was the first president of this state? Name the currency they used. What did they have on their postage stamps? What was their national anthem? And what were their passports like? The answer is they cannot, because they never existed in the first place. When the mainstream media attack Israel for protecting their citizens from Hamas's rockets and missiles by launching a military offensive against the Islamist terrorist organization, we will remind them of the truth. Hamas is a genocidal terrorist organization that in its covenant charter calls for the destruction of Israel and calls for genocide against the Jewish people worldwide. And we will ask them, why are you not telling your viewers, readers or listeners this vital information? We will ask of the media, why do you not show and report when Hamas use women and children as human shields, when they fire their rockets and missiles into Israel indiscriminately? When we see demonstrations in our cities in support of Hamas and against Israel, we will remind them that we also want to see Gaza liberated, but from Hamas. When the Palestinian Authority use their education system and media to glorify terrorism and incite their children with hatred towards Israel and the Jewish people, we will remind them that this is state-sponsored child abuse and it must stop. We'll also remind them of the famous quote from Israel's former Prime Minister Golda Meir when she said, "Peace will come when the Arabs will love their children more than they hate us."
Palestinian television under the control of the Palestinian Authority and Hamas has been the main source of incitement against Israel and Jews in the past 20 years. Often overlooked by the international community and media, daily kids television programming calls on Palestinian children to be martyrs and kill Jews and non-Muslims.
When the hard political left accuse Israel of being an apartheid state, we will remind them that there is no segregation of Arabs and Jews in Israel. There are no Jewish or Arab-only beaches. Israeli Arabs have political representation in Israel's parliament and have freedom of press and freedom of speech. But we will remind them of the real apartheid against the Palestinians that's taking place, and it's with their Arab brothers. Palestinians living in Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, and the Gulf states are considered worse than third-class citizens. They cannot vote, nor can they get a university education. In Syria, their villages are bombed by Assad's regimes with fighter jets. We'll also remind them that the Palestinians are being ethnically cleansed in Iraq. Why the silence? Where are the protests? Nowhere, because they do not care about the Palestinians. They only hate Israel. When Christian leaders meet at Christ at the checkpoint in Bethlehem to change Christian theology against Israel and the Jewish people and talk about the suffering of Arab Christians by Israel, we will ask them, why are you so silent regarding the persecutions of Christians in the Middle East that are on the verge of extinction in the region? We will also remind them, why is Israel the only country in the Middle East where Christianity is flourishing? Because Israel has religious freedom and protects her ethnic and religious minorities. When UNESCO votes on changing the status of Jerusalem by denying the Jewish people their spiritual, historical, and cultural connections to the most holy sites in Judaism, the Temple Mount and the Western Wall, only referring to these Jewish holy sites in Jerusalem by their Muslim names, we will remind them that the Jews were there first, that they built the first and second temples. We will remind them that this is not just an attack on Israel, but an attack on our Christian heritage, as Yeshua overturned the money changers in the temple. And when his parents were traveling back to the Galilee after a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and Jesus, as a 12-year-old boy, went missing, he was found in the temple. When they attack Jerusalem, they attack us. When we see the rise of Jew hatred, we will not keep quiet. We will speak up and defend the Jewish people, as we know what starts with the Jews never ends with the Jewish people, as we saw in the Second World War. First, the Jews were attacked in Germany under Hitler's Nazi regime, and the world was silent. Then the entire world was involved in a war that would cost the lives between 60 and 80 million people. When left-wing academics say that Israel has no international legitimacy as a state, we remind them of the Balfour Declaration and the San Remo Conference in 1920 that established Israel's legal right as a state. When the Islamic Republic of Iran threatens to destroy Israel with their proxy terrorist organizations, Hezbollah and Hamas, we need to remind them that they're up against one of the most powerful armies in the world. Behind Israel's defense force is the God of Israel, and he has not lost a battle yet. Why, as Christians, do we stand with Israel? Because your God is our God. Unlike Ruth, we will go where you go. We owe a debt of gratitude to our Jewish friends for giving us our heritage, the Bible, the prophets, our Saviour, Yeshua HaMashiach. Despite the threats, lies and hatred facing Israel, we stand with Israel as Christians because we believe in the Holy Scriptures. In Isaiah chapter 62 verse 1 it says, "For Zion's sake I will not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest until her righteousness goes forth as brightness, and her salvation as a lamp that burns." We will be the watchmen on the walls of Jerusalem, as mentioned in Isaiah chapter 62 verse 6. "I have set watchmen on your walls, O Jerusalem. They shall never hold their peace day or night. You who make mention of the Lord, do not keep silent, and give him no rest till he establishes and makes Jerusalem a praise in the earth." To our Jewish friends and Israel, these are the reasons why we're standing with you. And this is our commitment to you as Christians who love Israel. We will not keep silent for Zion's sake.